Hello and welcome to CNC World, broadcasting from North America and around the globe. I'm Xie He in Washington. Joining me today in our studio is Afshin Molavi, Senior Fellow at Johns Hopkins Foreign Policy Institute. Sir, welcome to our program.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. U.S. President Donald Trump tweeted on Monday morning that, I quote, "When a car is sent to the United States from China, there is a tariff to be paid of 2.5%. When a car is sent to China from the United States, there is a tariff to be paid of 25%. Does that sound free or fair trade? No, it sounds like stupid trade going on for years." So, sir, this is not helping easing the trade tension these days, right?
No, it's certainly not helping when you engage in diplomacy through Twitter. But this is a whole new world that we're talking about with President Donald Trump. And I think what is worrying to me and to many of us is that, we're at a time of a very fragile time in the global economy, right? So last year, we had 3.7% global growth, which was a very nice upswing. And it looked like we were experiencing a synchronized period of global growth. This year, things have been shakier. Germany has been shakier and sluggish. Japan continues to be sluggish. The United States, just in the past 3 months, we've seen indexes of manufacturing slow. We've seen indexes of retail slow. Construction has slowed. And so when the two most powerful economies in the world are engaged in this kind of trade rhetoric, we're not yet at a trade war, but trade war rhetoric, it's very bad for the global economy as a whole, particularly at a time when the global economy is very fragile.
Do you think that the U.S. will team up with Europe or Japan, countries like that, to deal with challenges from China?
Yes, I think what we're starting to see is a emerging coalition of the willing, so to speak, of the United States, some European countries, potentially Canada, potentially Australia, and potentially Japan as well. And I think we're going to see a coalition of the willing. But I think all parties concerned, whether you're in London or Paris or Brussels or Washington, the serious thinkers understand that it's a very dangerous situation to get into an escalating trade war with China. Also watch the U.S. stock market. That's a gouge that President Trump watches closely. And as we continue to see volatility in the U.S. stock market on news of trade wars, and as some of those earlier numbers I described, the construction numbers and retail numbers and manufacturing and service numbers slightly declining, the United States also had its worst jobs report over the past few months. So this is shaky territory. And as long as you watch those numbers, I think President Trump is going to want to be doing a deal rather than getting into an escalating trade battle.
Right now, the proposed tariffs have sent markets tumbling and made some Midwest farmers who voted for Trump feel betrayed. So do you think this is going to cost the Republican Party's seats in the midterm election?
This is the key question that you raised because, as you noted, Midwest farmers, soybean exporters and hog farmers and corn producers, their biggest growth market has always been China over the past 5 to 7 years. And I'm not sure Europe is going to be able to pick up the slack. And this is where we get back into the issue of the global economy. The China demand engine has been a demand engine not just for the U.S., but for the global economy as a whole. China has been the largest consumer of metals and commodities, the largest consumer of agricultural goods, largest consumer of luxury goods, everything from French winemakers to Louis Vuitton bag makers. And so the China demand engine, particularly the growing Chinese middle class, has been largely good for the global economy. And when we get into a situation where we're checking off boxes and saying, well, this is where you're bad and this is where you're good, it becomes very difficult. And I'm not suggesting that there's no place for regulation. There should be trade negotiations going on at all times. But I think that this kind of caricature view, it does a disservice to the nature of this relationship.
Yeah, and he said that the deal will be made on intellectual property. So do you think that this will happen? Why is he so confident?
I'm not sure why he's so confident on this one, but I do know that technology companies in the United States have this kind of double-edged sword because on the one hand, many of them are making lots of money selling to the China market. On the other hand, they are uncomfortable with these forced technology transfers that they face in the China market. So they, when you talk to them, they opt for quiet diplomacy, quiet pressure on China to stop some of the technology transfer, but they don't want to lose that China market either. You know, the growing Chinese middle class is the great commercial prize of the 21st century. And every company from Apple to Procter & Gamble to Unilever to Coca-Cola and Starbucks knows this. And nobody wants to lose that market.
Yes. So overall, how do you see this trade issue developing?
You know, I think we're going to be going through these ups and downs. So I think just like the stock market has been volatile, I think this trade issue is going to continue to be volatile. And I think we're going to see both sides trying to come away with declaring victory, you know, in one shape, form or another, and going back to something of business as usual.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Sir. And that is all for today's special report. Stay tuned on CNC World for more of the latest news around the world. I'm Xie in Washington. Bye for now.